one of the worst cheating scandals in the history of American education. 35 Atlanta public school teachers and administrators, they've been indicted on charges of large-scale racketeering and corruption, complete cheating. They're accused of conspiring to cheat by boosting the scores on standardized tests. The school employees, including the former superintendent, they're going to face jail time, heavy fines, and they falsified students' answers on the test in order to get more money. The cheating reportedly took place in 44 Atlanta schools and involved 178 educators. But as we mentioned, Eric, only 35 were indicted. We were just talking in the break. How do you get a conspiracy going and have 178 people involved and nobody said anything?
Well, you know, eventually you get caught, as they did. But the really crazy part, I mean, look, here's the way, this is a fascinating story. Here's the way it breaks down. There's about $50 or $60 billion a year that's spent, that is doled out to the various school districts. And what they've done, No Child Left Behind, about $30 billion of that money goes through No Child Left Behind, and schools do better funding if they do better on the score. So what they did is they conspired to bring the test scores up so they get more money. The question is, and I'm the one who says these teachers should always be scrutinized under productivity, how well their students are doing. But look what they do when you finally give them an opportunity to do that. They cheat themselves.
Terrible.
So what do you do? I mean, it's almost like an impossible game. They're going to get to the money one way or the other.
So before No Child Left Behind, there was one of President Bush's platforms that he ran on in 2000 was education and the problem of all these students being passed through without being able to read or write. And he said, like he did as governor of Texas, if you don't measure where a student is, how can you tell whether or not they improved? And should there be incentives for teachers? Okay, so that moves forward. There's a lot of controversy about that. But the states, Kimberly, have layered on additional tests. And the more the tests you take, the more chances you have as a teacher to get more money. We only have a couple of minutes, so I'm sorry, I'll get to this. The superintendent made $580,000 in bonus money over 12 years. Where is the outrage from the parents about how the kids were cheated in this scandal?
Well, that's the problem. You're missing the whole point of the story when people are saying, okay, yeah, the unions are bad, and this is why people are going to vouchers and charter schools and homeschooling, and the sense of the entitlement comes directly from the teachers that think, you know what, we're entitled to this money. We don't care about the kids' education. Who cares if little Johnny doesn't know B comes after A? Too bad. I'm going to go get myself that new car with the special lease program down the block. It's disgusting. It should be fired.
Are you about to defend the cheaters?
Let's see.
I'm not going to defend the cheaters. I think that it was bad. They should go to jail. They represent only a small percentage of teachers. But having said that, so much now is dependent on these standardized tests. Now, first of all, let me also say, I think the teachers union should never have defended these people as they did. But so much is dependent on these tests, both in terms of money you get from Washington, in terms of money you get from the state. In some cases, they're using 30 and 35% of their class time to do standardized tests. It's ridiculous. I'm not dumping on Bush alone. The states are bad enough as it is. And you do have to have measurements. But you don't have to have so many of them that's all people get concerned about, and that's how you get the money for your school.
But if you don't test, Greg, how do you know how kids are doing?
How they dress.
Oh.
No, I mean, you can't argue that this is this is a fringe belief when the head of the union is blaming testing. That's basically blaming the road for your drunk driving. You need to have measurements, and without measurements, you cannot. Measurements basically are a threat to incompetence. And whenever I get very suspicious, and I see, at least in our educational system, the growth of a Marxist secretariat, where it is the teachers are building a bureaucracy to benefit themselves directly at the expense of the children, and the only way they can do that is by getting rid of measurements.
The teachers are the ones. Look, at certain schools now, they're up to 15 and 18 standardized tests a year.
What's wrong with that?
It is a terrible idea.
Tests are good. I love tests.
Testing. Well, maybe I'm just bad because I got.
Well, the other problem is in some urban centers, you only have 60% of high school students graduating. You're not going to be able to work there.
I understand. You ought to know where they are.
And Randy Weingarten is also doing is blaming the number of tests on the reason why teachers are going to graduate.
I wish teachers would spend more time teaching than getting ready for tests.
If I do that, I'll cheat and steal my way into.
That's not what I said.
What a great example! What a great example for students. If you get caught cheating on your test, you blame the test. Because that's exactly what
Perfect.
the teachers did.
We contacted Congressman Jack Kingston, and he said that their subcommittee, when they move forward with the Department of Education's funding this year, that they're going to try to work in a bipartisan fashion to make sure that that doesn't happen again. There are some people, like advocated by the Heritage Foundation, to just cut that federal funding altogether. So,
Yeah,
anyway. Directly ahead, a public school in Ohio is in a fierce legal fight over this portrait of Jesus, which has been hanging there since 1947. The school district says that they can't afford a drawn-out legal battle